Hey folks, Jonathan here. Thanks for joining me once again. And it's a mad, mad world, as Tears for Fears once said. That shows my age, but I don't care what's age. We're all here, we're all living in this world, experiencing this wonderful time, this awakening time. And so many things happening all at once, it seems. Today changes yet again. Everybody thinking that we're going to come out of all this very soon. I have no idea when that will happen, although spiritual sources have reminded me that March seems to be a month for us kind of bringing a little bit more movement back into life. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that one, folks, and hope that we will see an improvement in the situation around about that time. They said about the 21st, about the equinox. So we'll keep, as I say, keep our fingers crossed for that one and see how things pan out. It's just amazing, actually, to be a part of this. Some days I absolutely hate it. Monday mornings, we go shopping, and once I'm in that environment and I see all the masks and all the people and the people walking from the cars to the shops with the masks on and coming back with the masks on and getting in the cars with the masks on, it's a reminder of the madness. But over time I've learned to accept what goes on in front of my eyes in a more spiritual sense. At about October time last year, I began to ease out of that a little bit, being reminded again that it's all part of the awakening process. It's all part of the plan, if you like, for humanity to wake up and realise exactly who we are, what we are, and why we are here. It's interesting to see it all going on. Interesting to see the turns and the twists in the world. The people out there who are looking for a Messiah, a Saviour, someone to come and save us all from this horrible experience. Someone who will bring our lives back to normal, or something to bring our lives back to normal. And life can never ever be normal in the sense of the old word and the old world. We're not going back to those times. That is pretty kind of fixed, written in stone, that we've lived in those times and we're moving out of those times now. It's all part of the awakening and the ascension process. And we've got to understand that. We've got to really feel that. Feel that this is all for a reason. Feel that it's all building up to something that will take us into a better future. But you know, we talk about time, future, the past, the present. In reality, time is just an illusion. And taking ourselves out of that time frame helps us to realise that, helps us to understand it. Now, I don't have a time machine. I'm sure you don't. If you do, I'd love to hear about it. I love all the old time machine stuff, the H.G. Wells stories. I love science fiction. But is it science fact? But what I want to say is the way we can remove ourselves from time, from this concept, this human perception of birth to death and everything that goes along in between, is to go within, to meditate. And when we meditate, we remove ourselves from that reality. We actually remove ourselves from the current reality. If you ever want evidence or proof that we remove ourselves from a reality, meditation is that proof. And once we are in that space, time becomes irrelevant. And many times if you do meditate, you will come out of the meditation, and yes, you will return to physical reality. But when you've been in that space, in that meditative environment, that arena, you could have meditated for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and the time actually feels as though it's passed just like that. Because we've gone into our higher consciousness, and in our higher consciousness, time does not exist. So, back to human level, into human consciousness where time does exist, or we believe it to exist, that we gauge ourselves part of that and to be controlled by time. If we understood that time was not our controller, then we could become a little bit more free. Free in our thoughts, in our actions, in our deeds. And to not be controlled by what am I doing at 6:30, what have I got on tomorrow, what's happening this year, what happened in the past, and what happened 15 minutes ago. To be controlled by that, to live our lives in that way, that every second of every minute of every hour controls us, keeps us locked in to a concept, into a reality. So what we need to try to aim to achieve is to be in that meditative state, in conscious reality, in this reality, to try and achieve that, to remove ourselves from the constraints of physical reality whilst we are actually in the reality, to become the observer, to step out of our body and watch the life going on in front of us. And when we can do that, to have that ability, we actually begin to be able to see a much, much bigger picture, a larger picture, a bigger reality. And one where we become less governed by the fact that at some point we will die, we will pass from this world. And there are so many people right now who are terrified of that eventuality, that their minds have been taken to a point, to a construct of dwelling on that fact on a near constant basis. We are fed information on a round-the-clock basis of this disease, that it keeps telling us we are susceptible to it and it could kill us. But when we realise that time means nothing, that in our infinite spirit form where we are not governed by restraints, physical restraints that we have in this world, that we transcend that death and that we overcome death, that we move into a different, higher dimension when we leave this physical body. If we could begin to help people understand that message, then we would no longer fear death itself. For too long we've been fed information that life is finite. According to science, there is nothing beyond this life. And that is preached all over the world as fact. Now, people may hear my words and they may mock, they may ridicule and say, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is not truth. This is not reality. But on the other hand, the concept of a finite life has never been proven either way. So there is no truth in that concept or proof of the truth. It becomes a knowing. It becomes a knowing. Once the spirit becomes awakened, it becomes a knowing. And for me, right now, this is a message that we need to help people understand. And to know that whatever happens in this world, we will always continue. When it is our time to pass, we will move on into a different plane of existence, into a different form of energy. So we must never fear death. We must never fear that moment in life. I have many stories that I could relate to you about exactly how that works, how that pans out for us. That moment of transition is actually one of the most beautiful things that we will ever experience. Even in the most awful circumstances, the spirit will leave the body before that circumstance actually occurs. So for people who've died in awful accidents or in other awful ways, the spirit is removed. The spirit leaves the body before the point of impact. So in these times when we are reminded of death on an almost minute by minute basis, try taking yourself out of this physical reality, connecting with your higher consciousness, releasing yourself from the bonds of time itself, and practice that and keep practicing that. And eventually the message will begin to resonate and it will begin to become part of your truth. And when we feel that, we can then observe the world from a much different perspective. of freedom rather than control, of infinite freedom, being able to rise above this sea, this ocean of negative energy that's all around us right now, and knowing that we can rise above that. We can take ourselves above that energy, and knowing that we are in control of our own destiny, that we are the captains of our own ships. We begin to understand that there is no one here on earth who can steer our ship for us. There is no leader, no saviour, no one who is here, who is responsible for us, ourselves. We are responsible for ourselves. We are the ones who will steer our own ship. We are the ones who will rise above this situation and learn the many, many life lessons that we chose to learn when we came here to this planet. And right now we are going through a major learning time. So trust in yourself, trust in your own judgment, trust in your own intuition, and trust in what the higher consciousness feeds us. Because the higher consciousness feeds straight into the heart space. And in that heart space, we will find the truth and the guidance that we need. We're all here to help each other and to guide each other in our physical lives. But the truth of the higher consciousness comes in through that channel of quiet, stillness, meditation, of being able to learn to still the body, to become at peace. And once we have achieved that and practiced it, that we can remove ourselves at any time from this timeline, from this reality, and become the observer. Become the observer of the physical reality. And we can then begin to read that physical reality and understand it far better than if we are locked in to a process of living every single moment of every single day through the timeline that we are faced with. But know that we are here, we are experiencing that, and it is all part of what we have chosen to do, to live this experience, to be here in this great awakening moment, but understanding that we are divine beings. We are light, and the thing which cements everything together is love. So when we connect to the higher consciousness, we connect to the light and we connect to the love. So right now, folks, just connect with that. Be who you are. Remove yourself from this fear, this sea, this ocean of fear, this tide of negativity. Rise above that into your higher consciousness and become the observer. And in those moments, in those very perfect still moments, you begin to understand the greater reality. So thank you, folks, for tuning in once again. I'll be honest with you, when I start these talks, I have absolutely no idea where they're going. I don't have a script. It just happens. I hope it makes sense. I have no idea. I'll have to play it back, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what a load of waffle. Hope it isn't, but I really hope that you find that within yourselves just now. We all have to find that peace, that stillness, and that part of us which will help us to transcend from this physical reality, but to understand it better, to be kinder to each other, even though there are times when we really don't want to act in that way. Forgiveness, be kind. Just understand that we're all on this journey and we're all going through all kinds of things right now. New experiences, very high states of emotion, but all on that awakening pathway, regardless of who we are or what we are or where we come from. Every single one of us walks this earth for the greater good of everyone. Thank you very much indeed, folks, for tuning in once again, and I'll hopefully be joining you once more with another subject that I hope you find interesting. Okay, thank you very much indeed, and see you soon.